Welcome everybody to Creek Stompin' with Missouri River Relief, a know before you go guide. We have one of my favorite colleagues, Kristen Schulte, here to talk to you all about this. Just before we start, the only thing that I'll want to mention is if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the chat or the Q&A both on Whova and Zoom if you can access that. It'll probably be easier to go through Whova. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I'm going to turn it right over to Kristen. We're going to waste no time. So take it away, Kristen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I work as the Education Director for Missouri River Relief. We are a non-for-profit organization. Our mission is to connect people to the Missouri River. So sometimes a little bit of a confusing part is what Missouri River are we talking about? Because sometimes people think we mean Missouri's rivers. And honestly, that's a lot of rivers. Our main river that we focus on is the Missouri. So the one that's pictured right behind me. It runs from Montana down through South Dakota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Kansas, and then hits Kansas City and cuts straight across the state of Missouri. And we are based in Columbia, Missouri, although we work the lower section of the Missouri River. And the main ways that we meet our mission is through river cleanups, education programs, and recreation events. So we know a thing or two about getting down and dirty and cleaning up the Missouri River. And so today I'm hoping to share a little bit about how you can go creek stomping on local creeks or rivers in your very own backyard. A little bit about Missouri River Relief. What makes us experts in this topic? We have hosted over 187 cleanups over the last 20 years. We've taken over 28,000 volunteers out onto the river to pick up trash along close to 2,000 miles of the Missouri River. And collectively, those volunteers have picked up 970 tons of trash. So we've seen it all. We've had a lot of fun going out there. I think one of the best ways to learn about going on a creek cleanup is maybe virtually visiting a creek that is right here in Columbia, Missouri. So I want to introduce you to my friend Laura Simpkin. She worked as our education assistant for AmeriCorps Vista this past summer. And I am going to turn it over to her via a video to share some of our tips and tricks for creek stomping and doing your very own cleanup. There might be a thing or two you have not thought about before.
Creek Stompin' with Missouri River Relief, a know before you go guide, written by Laura Simpkin, filmed by Kevin Tossi, with a guest appearance from Sean Hawks.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Simpkin, and I'm serving Missouri River Relief as an AmeriCorps Vista this year. Missouri River Relief is dedicated to connecting you to your Missouri River watershed. And I'm here at one of my favorite creeks that leads to the Missouri River, the Flat Branch Creek here in Columbia, Missouri. I plan to introduce you to one of my favorite hobbies, creek stomping. There is nothing I love more than getting outside for a good creek stomping adventure. As you can see, I'm wearing my boots. It fills my heart with joy to hear the soft burbling of a creek, and you just never know what you might discover. There's cool rocks that remind me of ancient dinosaurs with hats. Check this out. For real. There's birds out catching yummy gourmet insect snacks for their babies, like maybe this bird. There might be frogs. You never know. You might see some frogs, like this one, or a real frog, or a fish, or turtles, or crawdads. You might even get to see an otter, or a muskrat, or a groundhog, or a penguin? Let's see. Let's see what the otter thinks. No, not a penguin. Oh well. Just like my friend Olivia Otter, I like to get wet and muddy and play in the creek, and oh no! There's trash. Not again. Not another water bottle. Something used once that lasts forever is garbage. And we make 1 million a minute, and we buy and use that many too. Can you believe it? 1 million a minute every day. What a waste. I know exactly where to put this water bottle. In my reusable trash bag. Thank you, Olivia. All right. So, next, when I explore a creek, I always carry a reusable bag with me just for litter, because it seems like no matter where I explore, I find trash. It's so ugly, and it could harm the very creatures I so enjoy observing. I can pick up a bag full and then dump it into a waste bin at a park nearby, or recycle the aluminum and glass once I clean it. I don't want to show you any yucky pictures about all of the harm that plastic litter causes to animals, because it's just so sad. But if you're curious, you could Google plastic harm to wildlife for an eyeful, but let's do that later. So how do I prepare for my creek stompin' adventure? If I'm going creek stompin', I put on my boots, or even better, my old tennis shoes. Some folks think that this is a shoe, but I would beg to differ, because shoes stay on your feet, and this really doesn't qualify. Shoes stay on your feet. And I know this because I find so many in the creek, and there's never a foot attached. So really, I think it would make a good raft for my frog. Let's see how this works. I think he sits just perfectly on this raft. Okay, so proper footwear is number one. And what else do I need besides shoes? Well, I'm gonna need some snacks, for sure. And if I bring snacks, I'm gonna need a water bottle. This is my trusty reusable, it could last forever water bottle, even if your mother runs over it with a station wagon. For real. It's so much better than that 1 million a minute trashy plastic water bottle. Remember this? If you do any creek cleanups, you're gonna find a lot of these. Oh, the next thing I get is a reusable bag. Or, if you really think you're gonna be collecting a lot of trash, yeah, you can get one of these massive babies. They are donated by Missouri Stream Team. Pretty cool. If I get a bag, I'm gonna bring gloves. So, it's always good to wear gloves. You never know what you might come across. And if I bring gloves, I might need a life jacket. Here's my life jacket. And if I have a life jacket, sometimes, maybe you're not actually in the creek, you might be along a road, you might need a safety vest. Got it all on. If I bring all that, I might invite my friends. And if I invite my friends and family to join me, I'm gonna have to put on a mask. Come on in. Oh my, I just organized a creek stompin' trash mob adventure. Hi Sean, thanks for coming. What is a trash mob, you ask? Well, trash mobs are sort of like flash mobs. They just sort of appear out of nowhere, collect a bunch of trash, and leave the area ready for critters to safely return. And sometimes treasures can be found, like balls or strange antique toys. You just never know what you might find. Speaking of which, you never know what you might find. Yes, picking up trash can be dangerous. That's why you wear those gloves and a safety vest along roads and a life jacket in the water. And if you find broken glass or a needle like the ones a nurse gives you shots with, do not pick it up, because you might get cut or poked, and that is not good. In Columbia, Missouri, there are so many creeks that all lead to the Missouri River. Imagine how safe and beautiful our creeks could be if we all got out to play in them and pick up a little bit of plastic along the way. If you're thinking, oh yes, I want to go play in the creek and I want to bring along a bag too, but my parents are asking me all kinds of questions like, well, what are you going to do with that trash once you pick it up? And, well, we don't have any gloves or extra bags or safety vests. So many questions. Tell them you have a plan. Tell them to visit the Missouri River Relief website or Google River Relief Trash Mob, and they can find their answers, and we can set you up with all the supplies you need to get started, like gloves and trash bags. And I have to give a big shout out to the Missouri Stream Team for the supplies they're donating. Be sure to keep track of how much trash you collect. Take a picture of all your trash treasures and then fill out a trash mob report found at our website, www.riverrelief.org. Now, let's go see if my flip-flop frog raft floats, and maybe flip-flop frog can race baby flop otter. Let's go see. Okay, on your marks, get set, go! Go, baby flop, go! Come on! I think flip flop's gonna win. Bye! Okay, better go get him. I don't want it to become trash. No! Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, everyone. Have fun out there. Stay safe, and see you in the creek.
Don't forget to bring old tennis shoes or boots, some snacks, reusable water bottle, some gloves to protect your hands, life jacket or safety vest, trash bag, paper and pencil to write anything down, keep notes, draw pictures, all that fun stuff. Bring a mask, camera to take pictures of your trash treasures, and some friends and family. Bye.
Well, I always learn a lot from Laura. And I know anytime at the creek is a good time, whether we're visiting virtually or we're visiting in live and in person. I hope that some of the tips that Laura shared were helpful. We call her our residential Bill Nye, the science woman, because she makes everything fun. So I am going to open things up for any questions that you might have about starting your own creek cleanup, whether that might be about things that you find, how exactly to go about disposing of things that you come across. And I can also answer any questions about Missouri River Relief or getting involved with River Relief and more.
All right, we don't have anything that I'm noticing right now as far as questions in chat, but everybody feel free to put any comments or questions you have in the chat or Q&A on Whova, any comments or anything like that. I've gone creek stomping with Missouri River Relief before, and I will say that it's a really enriching experience. You not only get to help your environment, but you also get to meet some pretty cool people, so that's fun.
Yeah, I feel like, Paige, one of the questions we get a lot is like, what do I do with this trash after I find it? You know, and it's sort of, it can be simple. Like, let's say that on your walk you bring a reusable bag and you just pick up trash as you see it. Well, that trash can just like go into your trash can at home probably and be taken out with the garbage. Sometimes you go out on the creek and you find way more than what you were expecting. There's a couple different options that if you do find a lot more trash or larger objects or hazardous waste that you could think about for disposable. One is that if you reach out to a nearby business that is on your creek cleanup route, or that you have a friend or family member that maybe works at that business, you can ask them if you can put that trash into their dumpster. Definitely asking in advance is helpful, just to be respectful of those dumpsters not overflowing. And so that's a really kind of easiest solution we have for finding some of that larger stuff. If there are things that you find that you're like, I have absolutely no idea how to dispose of this. That's when River Relief, we can step in and we can kind of help with more specific things. If you are doing a cleanup and you find a hazardous material, which this might be car batteries, jugs of oil, or pesticides, or something that you're just kind of not really uh, know what it might be, and it might seem dangerous. Uh, those can be flagged with tape or something to kind of mark its location. We do ask that people maybe not handle those things and leave them there. You can take the GPS coordinates via your phone, or you can kind of write down somewhere where exactly it's at, and then reach out to the Department of Natural Resources, and they can deal with that hazardous waste. A lot of time, a lot of times they're able to get out there quickly and clean it up. So we're grateful to be able to work with them on cleaning up hazardous materials that you might find as well. So those are kind of the big things that I feel like are the sort of mysteries that you don't know you're going to have to deal with whenever maybe you go out creek stomping.
For sure, for sure. And and even if, at one point you learn what to do with it, I know I'm very forgetful. So I'll come across something unexpected and then be like, oh, wait, how do I deal with this? So that's a great resource for all people to use. And we had a comment in the chat that there's a national effort to keep track of all the plastic items that you might collect. And I don't think they can remember the name of this, but I bet you are familiar with this because I think you've talked on it before. Do you want to speak more to that?
Yeah, so there are quite a few ways that folks are tracking plastic pollution via apps on their phone. A lot of those apps are designed for ocean areas. So sometimes they can work for us in the Midwest, sometimes they don't work as easily, but I do want to share a new citizen science project that was started in March of this year, and that is the Mississippi River Plastic Pollution Initiative. And this is an initiative that was launched to start collecting data to analyze plastic litter along our rivers in 3 major cities, St. Louis, St. Paul, and Baton Rouge. So there is an app called the Marine Debris Tracker app, and this can be used to track the plastic. And this can be impactful for a couple different reasons. It will give us data to be able to support funding to say, hey, this is where the trash is coming from, and this is what we're finding. There hasn't been a lot of consolidation of people doing this on a large scale. Another part of that project is actually sending out plastic bottles with GPS trackers. And so those we were part of, we provided some of our motorboats out on the Mississippi River to launch some of those trackers, and you can track them from St. Louis as they move down the river. I will drop a link in the chat to some of this information about the disposal, but also about the Mississippi River Plastic Pollution Initiative. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, great. And and I'll make sure so that's in the Zoom chat. I'll make sure that goes in the Whova chat too, so people can access that later, because that is a really great resource for anyone interested in doing these sorts of things. This really important work. So if I'm not seeing any more questions coming in, so I think we'll close it out, unless Kristen, you have more information you would like to share. I know your mind is probably exploding with all of the different things that you could talk about. But I think you've shared a great resource and a great way to get started. And for anybody who is looking to get started in some of this stuff, Missouri River Relief is an awesome resource and a great place to start. So I'll just throw that little thing in there for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Paige. We appreciate it, and please feel free to reach out to River Relief on our website at riverrelief.org, and we'd be happy to help anybody with their own creek stomping adventures because we're all connected to one giant watershed, the Missouri River.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's a great closing sentence. So we'll just end there. Thank you so much, Kristen, for coming to our Birds and Bees Festival to share this awesome information. And I'll make sure to share out those links, and I'll also share the link to the video that Kristen showed. So just in case your internet was a little bit laggy, you can watch that at a later date too. So thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you to everybody who came today. Another link. I'll make sure to get that in there too. Okay. And have a great rest of your Birds and Bees Festival. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.